Welcome to Creative Creations. Today I'm going to show you on how to make a napkin fold card. So what you do is you just lift off the band like that, and when you open it up, it looks like that. So I watched a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to do this, but the problem was that they were way too big to fit in any envelopes. So I remade the measurements and I'm going to show you on how to do it. Okay, let's get started. Things you will need to make this card are a pencil, a cutting tool. I use a cutting board, but scissors work well too. A ruler. I have a ruler on my cutting board. A scoring tool. I use my scoring board, but a dull knife works well too. A type of adhesive. I use my double-sided sticky tape roller to glue down my paper pieces. A solid color piece of paper cut at 8 inches by 8 inches. A piece of pattern paper cut at 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. 2 pattern pieces of paper cut at 3.25 inches by 3.25 inches. And 1 solid colored piece of paper cut at 1 inch by 9 inches. Part 1 of 2, Scoring and Folding. First grab your 8-inch by 8-inch piece of paper, then grab a ruler and lay it across your paper. Measure it and make a mark at 2 inches and 6 inches. Turn your paper over to the right and mark it again at 2 inches and 6 inches. Now take your scoring tool and line it up with one of the marks you just made. Score down the paper. Do this to all your marking measurements made. There should be a total of 4 score lines. Now you will want to fold along the score lines you just made. Flip over the paper and fold again. I do this about 3 or 4 times. The tighter the crease, the easier it'll be to finish making this card. Your paper should now look like this. Now you will want to find the center of the card. Line up your ruler down the middle of the paper. Make a mark at 4 inches. Turn your paper over to the right and make another mark at 4 inches. Line those 2 marks together and that'll be your center point. Now you will want to take each corner of the paper and fold it towards the middle point. When folding corners towards the center, make sure you hold the paper down firmly before creasing. It must be lined up perfectly. Line it up as best as you can. A tip I would recommend is not using the center mark, but using it more as a guideline. Instead, line up the score lines you made with the triangle you're folding. Once you have finished folding the corners, flip over your card and fold them again. I fold them about 3 or 4 times. Remember, the tighter the crease, the easier it'll be to finish making this card. You will now notice that there are 4 triangles, one on each side of the card. Now you are going to take those triangles and fold them on top in the middle of the card. The triangles should fall into place quite easily, depending on how well you've creased your card. Once your triangles are in the center, you will notice 4 small squares on each side of the paper. Press them down and crease it well. Now you are going to take the corner of each small square located in the middle of the card and bend it backwards. Crease each one well. Now that you have your card all scored and folded, it's time to decorate. Part 2 of 2, Decorating. First grab your patterned piece of paper cut at 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Then grab your cutting tool. Cut your paper in half diagonally. Then take one of those triangles and cut them in half. Now you have two smaller triangles. Do the same thing for the other triangle. There should be a total of 4 triangles now. Now grab your 2 patterned pieces of paper that are cut at 3.25 inches by 3.25 inches. Now take one square and cut it in half diagonally. Then take one of those halves and cut it in half again. That should give you 2 smaller triangles. Now take those 2 smaller triangles and cut them in half. That should give you a total of 4 pieces from one half of your square. Do the same for the other half. One square will give you 8 pieces in total. Now repeat this entire step for your other square pattern piece of paper. Now you should have 16 tiny triangle pattern paper pieces and 4 larger triangle pattern paper pieces. Now grab the base of your card and open it. Now you're going to want to glue the 4 larger triangle pattern paper pieces to the card. Each larger triangle is placed the 4 sides of the card. When gluing down, there will be a small space between your triangle you are gluing and the crease of the main card. A helpful tip that I would recommend while applying your adhesive to your triangles is having a scrap piece of paper underneath so that your work surface doesn't get sticky. Now that you have your 4 larger triangle pieces glued in place on the base of your card, you're going to take all of your other 16 tiny triangle pieces and glue them on the base of the card between all of the other triangle creases. Each corner of the card will have 4 tiny triangle pieces that are also located between 2 larger triangles. Now that you have your triangles glued in place, you can fold your card back together. Now, if you wish to write your message in the card on a different piece of paper instead of the base, cut a piece of paper at 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. I used white cardstock for my center. Then you can glue it down in the middle with your adhesive. There will be a small space when placed on the base of your card between your square paper and the square crease on the card. Now you're going to want a band around the card to keep it in place. Now you're going to want to grab your solid color piece of paper that is cut at 1 inch by 9 inches. Hold your card down and lay your strip of paper across the middle of your card. Keep an even amount of leftover paper hanging off the sides of the card. Now, while holding all in place, flip over the card carefully. Crease the strips down on the back of the paper. The end of the strips should overlap each other a bit. Grab your adhesive and glue the 2 strips together where they overlap. Now that your card is complete, you can decorate the band wrapped around the card that you just made, any way you would like. I placed a matching flower on the top of my band that I bought at the dollar store. Now you are done your card, and it can fit in small and regular sized envelopes. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions below. You can subscribe or friend me on Google Plus to get all of my updated tutorials. You can also find links below of my blog and Etsy account. Thanks for watching!